Hi, everyone. We're the Good Doctors of Abbey Research. I'm Dr. Kristen.
I'm Dr. Erin.
And welcome to today's Good Doctors Diagnose for Wednesday, January 20th.
Inauguration Day.
Inauguration Day. And we are talking about Martin Luther King, which you probably thought we were going to talk about on Monday, but we specifically wanted to talk about it today because we have a feeling that a whole lot of Monday, your social media feeds were full of quotes. Pinterest graphics, Instagrammed perfectly. The arc of justice, the arc of the story of the world is bent towards justice. Lots and lots of quotable things that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said. None of them are wrong necessarily. A lot of them are very wise. They don't ever really actually capture what the man was trying to do. So we'd like to have a brief minute about the importance of understanding someone's entire canonical thought, or at least the context of the quote that you are using. If you've never read anything by Dr. King, I personally would recommend starting with Letter from a Birmingham Jail, for the simple fact that it's the briefest summation of his thoughts. I would actually read that before I would read the I Have a Dream speech, to be fair, because the I Have a Dream speech is just a different purpose. Letter from a Birmingham Jail lays out what America was like for him and what was happening and all of that. But it shows some of the evolution of his thought and a whole lot of other things. But Martin Luther King Jr. was absolutely a hero. He was a martyr, but he was a human. And we really lose track this time of year of his humanity and how that actually, to both of us, makes his points stronger, because they weren't ever perfect. They were always messy, and he was figuring things out on the ground. And that makes it more incarnational in terms of how we achieve equity.
Yeah, and I think for me, and we use quotes a lot in Abbey Research to kind of highlight important things that people have said, but especially on something as the scale of Martin Luther King Day and having a national holiday. We really have to hammer home one of our favorite Abbey Research mantras, which is context is key. And when you remove his words from the context of who he was or what he was writing about, or even what he was trying to achieve at the time. So there's a very different tone from his public speeches, like the I Have a Dream speech, to his private writings, or and certainly even the evolution of him as a thinker and a person. Very similarly to the way we kind of reduce Malcolm X to a few quotes, when really there's a whole evolution of his thought and lived experiences as a person. And so it's almost kind of like we need to reassert the humanity of MLK a little bit to show that he was a complex human, because we tend to treat him more as a symbol, and a symbol of a lot of important things, without question. But when you over symbolize a person and you take away some of that humanity, you lose a lot of the import of what they were saying.
Yeah, he didn't live so that you could share him on Pinterest. No. And he is a messy human, because all humans are messy. If you want an example of that, please check out Selma by Ava DuVernay and starring David Oellio. Very, very good capture of some of the complexities of his humanity. His children and his wife speak for him a lot now and tell us what their father would have thought, or Coretta says what her husband would have done. But even they can't fully capture it because they weren't in his brain, and we have his writings. And we need to be consulting that more often. And then also learn to wrestle with the fact that he was wise and right, but not perfect. And so some of his ideas weren't great, or they weren't going to work, or they didn't. But again, the more we understand the complexity of his genius, the more we can actually implement it, instead of just giving lip service to it one day a year, which is currently how we treat civil rights as a whole.
And if we've learned anything in the last year, especially American history, it's that there's a lot of lessons from the civil rights movement that have not been learned, or justice that has not been actualized across the United States. And so that's one of the real world consequences of over symbolizing certain parts of our history or mythologizing human beings, is that we aren't talking about practically what was Reverend Martin Luther King trying to achieve. Have we achieved it? And what can we do to make sure that we do actually achieve justice for all humans in this country? And what does that look like? Because justice is a messy thing. And so we like to complicate things here at Abbey Research, which is not something that generally people like to do on Martin Luther King days and other days such as them. But we're here to poke the bear a little bit and say, it's better if it's messy, because that means we have work to do.
We always believe it's better when it's messy. But that's it from us this week in our messy thoughts for right now. And we'll see you next time for more.
Take care, everybody.